Father, bless you. Teach us your word in the name of Jesus. Today the Lord will be teaching us on effect of Judas' marital error. Part 1. Effect of Judas' marital error. And we are going to take our text from Genesis chapter 38 from verse 1 to 7. In verse 1, the Bible reveals that Judah went from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Ira. Most time when you see the Bible saying that somebody went down, just know that something bad is likely to happen. Why will you choose to go down when you can actually go up? Anyway, that is not our focus for this study. It will also be important to note that by choosing to go down, he separated himself from his brethren and even his parents. He left his people because of a woman. He didn't even do the proper marriage ceremony because that wasn't captured in this passage. He felt he was matured enough to marry. So instead of going up, he went down. Are you also like Judah? Someone who can neglect his entire family just because of a man or a woman? Someone who will not even think it is necessary to show the lady he loves to his parents? Someone who doesn't value taking right steps in doing things? He just went down onto a certain woman and camped himself with her. And the next thing you hear is that he began to raise children from that woman. No parental involvement. None of his family's members were aware. No parental blessing. Even fellow brethren were not informed. He went in onto a certain woman. Shows that he married the kind of lady he wanted, his dream girl. But not carrying his people along was the error he committed. The separation from his brethren was not really the problem, except for the fact that he chose to elope with his lover. Originally, we know that marriage will definitely bring a child out of his family, but there's a way things should be done. It was in the house of Ira, the Adulamite, that Judah saw Shua, the Canaanite, that he married. I am sure if he had carried his father along, he may never have allowed him to marry a Canaanite, just as Abraham did to Isaac. Since he knew his father would oppose his choice, he chose to do his own thing in his own way. That's what many of us believe today. We believe that our life is our own and that we can use it the way we want. As logical as it sounds, that statement is not accurate in itself. Your life is given to you by God. Therefore, you will of necessity be accountable to God for how well and how godly it is used. So basically, it is clear that Judah married wrongly. If that's true, then let's continue in order to see the consequence of his choice. If you don't know the choice you have made is bad, then its consequence will prove it to you. How you know whether or not your choices are good is the result or the outcome of it. Until you see the outcome, please don't conclude. In verse 3, the first child was a son, and his son was heir. That is, you can see that in verse 3. In verse 4, their second child was a son also, and his name was Onan. In verse 5, they gave birth to another son again, and also he was a male. His name was Shelah. The third son was born in a place called Shizip. Now in verse 6, the Bible reveals that Judah took a wife for his son, and the name of this woman was Tamar. Can you see how funny Judah was? In his own time, his father didn't choose for him. As a matter of fact, he even disappeared from home quietly just to go and marry. Now, when his first son was matured, he decided to marry for him. What happened here was more or less like matchmaking, matchmaking kind of marriage. I don't know how Er couldn't marry for himself. Maybe he was too shy to to speak to a woman, or maybe there is something about him that no woman will want to tolerate. But as we continue in this study, everything will become clearer. In verse 7, something unbelievable happened. The Bible revealed that Er, after marrying Tamar, he did what was wrong in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him, meaning the Lord killed him. Okay. The Lord used here was capitalized to show that it was God himself that killed him. So, because of his wickedness, God had to erase his generation. That was for the firstborn of Judah, which was Er. It's just like you throwing an egg to a mountain. You know what happens? So when God saw the wickedness of Er, the first son of Judah, God himself fell on him. You know what that means? That means if God falls on you, you will not even break into pieces, you will disappear. That's the implication. Because if you throw an egg to a mountain, it splashes around. But if God falls on you, you won't break into pieces, you will disappear. That was what happened to Er. His generation was wiped out because God detected wickedness in his life. I hope you know what the resultant effect will be. Now, we know why Judah had to marry for Er. He was so wicked that at his sight, no woman will want to stay. Who knows, maybe Tamar was even imported just to make this marriage work. No wonder they had to move to Shizip, where Er got married, because in their former place where everyone knows who he was, no lady will want to put up with him. So they have to move to Shizip, where his wickedness was not really known, in order to get him married. Who knows, maybe the Lord was just repaying Judah for his wickedness. Remember, he was the one who suggested that Jacob should be sold. So the wickedness in him was transferred to his seeds, and now his seeds appear to be more wicked than he was. Maybe all that Judah had in wickedness is just a degree, but now his children had PhD in wickedness. His children had PhD in wickedness. Though the name of Judah has a good interpretation, but he himself was not really as good as his name was. What makes your name good is not just in the meaning, but you are the one. It is you that defines your name, not your name defining you. So you can be a Jesus and be a criminal. It doesn't change anything. It is you that defines your name. You have the power to define your name more than how your name can define you. I pray the Lord will give us understanding in the name of Jesus.